for youths to better understand the workforce in Southeast Asia, are there enough work opportunities to equip with necessary skills to work in international settings?
Shall I?
Yes, Mr. Wei.
If you ask me, say enough, I mean there will be never enough. Throughout human history, there will be no enough opportunity. We need to create by ourselves. So it's somehow upon the policymaker, but it's also somehow upon the youth to create the opportunity. So
I definitely agree with what Min said. I think we need to create our own opportunities, whether that's starting your own business or just putting yourself out there more in terms of the job fields.
It's really fascinating when you talk about like the perspective of how good it is to like get a job, right? We all want to get a job, like all graduates want to get a job, but it is so hard to get a job at the same time. So do you all mind sharing like why is it so hard to find a proper paid job? Because there are a lot of problems right now relating to employment. It's not just about like lacking the experience, right?
So we never get to do a little bit of introduction, but if I get to introduce myself to the audience here today, I come from a health background. So I have a health background. My training is in vaccine and cancer research. So a lot of my job will be at the hospital or at the research lab. That's where my main kind of like area of employment will be. I would say that it's hard to get a proper paid job, especially in lab and hospital, is because in this field, in this industry, you need to be well trained for over at least 12 years to be paid. Anything less than that, you actually will be working minimum wage or sometimes unpaid to get that experience. Now, that's like a loop, a catch-22, because in order for you to get to that 12 years of experience, you need to get into med school, you need to get, even more qualified. And for you to get more qualified, you need experience. But then if you want experience, then you need to do the job. But these jobs won't pay you because you don't have the experience. And so it's an ongoing cycle where kind of people, let's say me, myself, I would compromise. I would say, okay, my long-term goal is I need to get to that job that will pay me well down the line 12 years from now. What I need to do now is I need to make some sacrifices and kind of do the unpaid jobs to get the experience and to get a foot in the door. I think that understanding of getting a foot in the door is something that a lot of youth can relate to. Anusha, what do you think about that, since that we're in like very similar health industry?
Yeah, no, I agree with you totally. I think right now it's so hard to find proper paid jobs, not only for healthcare, for the healthcare industry, but a lot of industries and a lot of university students looking for internships, is that there are so many university students, there's so many youths looking for these jobs, and there's such a limited quantity of these internships and jobs. And a lot of the time, employers take advantage of that, and they know that students are going to come and apply to their jobs regardless of pay, because they simply want experience to put on their resumes, and they want experience so they can, like Nancy said, get a foot in the door.
I can add another perspective.
Yes.
I think it is depending on the experience and also the nature of the job, as the previous speaker said. But it also depends on the changing nature of the future workplace. Back in 20th century, we are most of the corporate industries are based on manufacturing and industrialization. So they try to put more the education system is focusing more on the specific subject like marketing, HR, like that. They make like discrete portions of that. But the future workplace is more based on innovations and distraction. So like we cannot put very, how can I say, fixed education system, the fixed, stable education system, could not be matched to the future workplace. So I think that would be another problem that the youth might face. The thing that you learn in the university might be outdated very soon. So that's why it is very difficult for the employer side to use the thing that you learn in your school. I mean, medical school might be different, but other school like business or other thing like engineering, most of the thing like IT, they are advancing very fast. So the thing that you learn today might not be useful tomorrow. So I think that could be something you need to consider. That education system need to somehow match or in line with the workplace or the requirement from the labor market. So sometimes you need to reinvent by yourself. There is no quick solution, or you cannot rely on the 20th century education system. Sometimes you need to reinvent yourself.
Thank you for the answer. So now let's talk about the unprivileged group. What about the unprivileged group? Okay, so how can they reach out to more opportunities?
For me, I think the label or the thing to determine who is underprivileged is sometimes difficult. Of course, there are some people who are facing difficult, and some are poor, and some might not get the basic education service. But the thing is, even the real life is difficult, but we should not put self-pity or the label that we are weak to ourselves. I think that's a first step for the underprivileged people. They need to think like that. They need to accept that reality, that there's a strong barrier or strong wall ahead of their future. But they also need to know that could also be the opportunity, that if they break down that wall, they become stronger than the normal people, so that they can easily overcome a different wall throughout their way. So that I can say, as I mentioned, or as you can see today world, that everyone has different opportunity that you can pursue in your surrounding or using the digital technology. So I think it is difficult. I understand that, like in Myanmar also there are lots of underprivileged people in the borderline, also in IDP camp. But it is difficult, but there are like less chance for them, that we need to accept that. But that doesn't mean there is no chance, and they can somehow overcome that. And once they overcome, they are quite stronger than normal people, that I can say.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Min. I think that's quite powerful. That's quite a powerful statement right there. To add to Mr. Min's answer, I do believe that there are companies out there that design programs specifically for different underprivileged groups. I will only take examples from the United States, since it's the only country that I actively am involved with the job market here. But there are companies that will have programs for, let's say, the LGBTQ community, or there will be programs looking for jobs who are people with disability, or people who are women of color, or sometimes it goes into very specific ethnic groups, kind of like looking for Hispanic, Latino, Black, Asian. There are very targeted specific groups that these programs are set up to kind of like target as well. And the reason why these programs are so targeted or very specific is because the sponsor of the program happens to be of a certain labeled underprivileged group, and when they are able to overcome that, they will then re-sponsor the people who are the incoming class. And that's why there are programs out there that are very specific. But to add on to what Mr. Min said, we should never play the victim mindset, kind of that we are the victim in this situation and that things are unfair for us. More of it, think of, I disclaimer, I myself consider myself to be a member of underprivileged group, and the way I've always thought about these things is that being a member of the underprivileged group actually exposed me to so many things that people who are not in the underprivileged group would not be able to experience. Kind of like, who can, like, heading to the job market, if you can say that I know what poverty is like, or I know what it means to not having food on the table, or I know what it means to, not have health insurance, that is a powerful statement, because now you know what it feels like to be on both sides of a coin as opposed to only on one side. So I would actually argue being in the underprivileged group expose you more to life and experiences, and that
you got a stronger drive in your life.
Exactly.
And you got a lot of passion in you, and you know why you should try more than normal people.
And I think a way to reach out for more opportunities is network, make connections, talk to your professors, talk to your TAs, ask them about job opportunities, ask them about research, just continually make connections and talk to people. And I think that will definitely put you in a great spot in the future for job prospects, regardless of what community or group you're in.
Yeah. Definitely, Anushka, your advice, it's what I have used in my university days to get noticed by your teachers, and then you will have a good school life. Finally, our last question. Do youth stand a better chance than their parents did?
I think so, definitely. I think with the resources that we have today are so much greater than what they had. Even just our ability to connect with one another online through Zoom right now is probably more than the opportunities that they had. The fact that we are all in different countries right now talking to each other and being able to express our own experiences and our own thoughts and give each other advice is quite remarkable, and something that I don't think they possibly had.
Definitely. Mr. Min?
I think the same. We have better resources compared to the previous generation, but at the same time, I also need to let you know that the youth have different problems. Like, they have better future, better opportunity, but that doesn't mean that they don't have any problem. They will face different problem than the previous generation. One of them will be the mental problem. Like, we are physically richer than the previous generation, but in terms of mental health or mental well-being, we become more fragile, so we need to keep that in mind. Second would be, previously, we need to compete the labor market or the job position with the people, but in the future we might need to compete with technology, AI, and automation. So that also we need to consider. So we have different, but doesn't mean I'm not trying to disencourage. We have different resources. There will be different future, different technology coming up, and the future actually we cannot even foresee. It's a completely new future in next 10 or 20 years. So it belongs to the youth, and they deserve to take part in that. So but I just need to warn that not everything it's completely good or like utopia, but there are also some kinds of risks and some kinds of things that you need to cope with. Otherwise things will be very boring. There will be struggle all the time.
I would say that, like Mr. Min said, I do think our generation, we have our own problems that the previous generation did not face. At the same time, we have different types of pressure. However, I don't want to delegitimize the pressure that our parents faced in the past. I feel like they face their own problems, and those problems are legitimate themselves. But that does not mean our problems that we're facing today is not legitimate. They're problems, they're different, but they're both legitimate problems. I would say that, I would actually say that we do stand a better chance. The reason is because we have advanced so much in technology that I think we can use technology to work our way. I think one thing that it's the biggest difference between us and our parents our parents have always viewed technology as something that can replace them. Like technology is something that can outwork them and put them out of jobs. I take it, I think I can spin this a little bit differently. Instead of chasing technology, you don't have to invent it. You just need to coexist with it and then manipulate it to work your way. At the end of the day, technology is just another human invention. And like all human invention, it's used for human purposes. If we look at it and we find a way to use it correctly, I think it will be powerful. The hard part is to learn how to utilize it correctly. And I don't think we need to ever think of it as kind of like us against technology, but more like us with technology, and that can be powerful. So I really do think technology unlocks many opportunities that we have not been exposed to or have access to in the past. But now that we do, we can use it. Mm-hmm.